Hi guys, well we are back in the hot seat after a bit of a break, and what better way to kick things off than to have a look at some new graphics cards. I'm really excited to bring you some interesting content over the next few months. I'm going to start with this card here in front of me. This is the ASUS Prime RTX 5060 OC. Now the RTX 5060 was released at the end of May 2025. As Nvidia moves its way down from the top, this card here, the RTX 5060, is really a mid-range type of GPU. It effectively replaces the RTX 4060. And so Prime is one of the more cost-effective options in the ASUS portfolio. It has a triple fan design, it comes with a small factory overclock, and for those with a dislike for RGB, this one here comes without any lighting. Now if you're wanting to pick one of these cards up, it is going to be around $340 in the UK, $300 in the US, and then $650 in Australia. Now I don't have an RX 9060 XT in the 8GB version, just got the 16GB version here. So the pricing on this card compared to the 5060 is going to be slightly different, of course, and of course with that extra VRAM a bit different, but nevertheless it's going to be interesting to see how this card compares to our 5060. Okay, so here is the Prime RTX 5060 OC. If you've seen a Prime GPU before, you'll be familiar with the fact that this series adopts a very basic design, and there is nothing wrong with clean and simple, especially if you don't really need or like RGB lighting. So we have a black plastic shroud, and a triple fan cooler is really the centerpiece for this card. Prime comes with the axial fans, which are a staple for ASUS. They are dual ball bearing, and if the GPU sits below 50 centigrade, then those fans will remain still. And later on I'm going to take that cooler off for a closer look at the heatsink underneath. Now this card is quite average in its size, and so you shouldn't have any issues getting it into your case, but here are the dimensions. The length is just over 265mm, for the width it is 108, and then the height is just over 50mm. Now this card does come with a factory overclock straight out of the box, so the reference boost is 2565, and with this card, that clock has been bumped up to 2595 MHz, which is just 1%, and that's unlikely to make much of an impact. It would have been nice really to see them modify that frequency over 2600. The memory frequency is at stock, so that is 28 gigabits, and that arrives in the form of 8 GB of GDDR7 with a 128-bit bus. This card uses the PCI Express 5 standard, but only X8. It comes with 3840 CUDA cores, has the DirectX 12 Ultimate support, along with Vulkan 1.4 and OpenGL 4.6. Now in terms of the rear I/O panel, this card is a 2.1 slotter, and then it's going to occupy just 2 spaces on your case. And on the back panel here, we've got the 3 DisplayPort 1.4s. Those can give you the 8K at 60, and then 1 HDMI 2.1 port that allows us to use 4K at 120Hz and 8K at 60Hz. To power this card, ASUS recommends a 550 watt power supply, and we need just a single 8-pin connector, so it isn't power hungry by any means. Turning to the back of the card, we have a metal backplate, which gives us that protection for the PCB, and there is a small pocket of ventilation to the tail end of that cooler. Also on this backplate, we've got a toggle for dual BIOS that allows us to switch between performance and quiet mode. Alrighty, well we've removed the cooler from Prime so that we can delve into the inner workings. So we have here 3 80mm fans, which are the 9-blade design. Those fans have the 0 decibel technology, meaning that they're going to stop spinning when that GPU is under 50 centigrade. Underneath those fans, we've got a single piece dual heatsink, which has 2 heat pipes. This cooler sits over the memory, the VRM, and GPU. And if you stick around to the end of the video, we're going to check out how efficient this cooler is. With that cooler off the card, we also get access to the board itself. Prime uses a 4+2 phase design, and the driving force behind 5060 is GB206, which is also found on the Ti. This non-Ti, of course, is the trimmed down version of that. Now the idea with this card is it's designed for 1080p, but how well can it handle that resolution? Let's find out. And so the plan now is to check out the performance of Prime. We're going to put it up against the 9060 XT, and again, like I mentioned earlier, we don't have an 8GB version of the XT, only a 16GB, but regardless of that, it's going to be an interesting set of tests. And instead of discussing the graphs on screen, we're going to show you actual on-screen performance for you guys to check out and see. For this, we're going to obviously use 1080p, we're going to slap on the maximum detail preset in each game, and we're going to be using the very latest drivers for each card, and we'll also have GPU-Z there running in the background to pick up on the max temperatures, and the result for that is going to come at the end. Okay, well that is the Prime RTX 5060 OC, a card here which occupies the mid-tier. It handles 1080 and 1440p very well. Prime does have a factory overclock, which, you know, in the grand scheme of things, over the stock frequency, it has very little impact. It has an uplift there of just 30 megahertz. Now up against the XT here, the 16 gig XT, it really depends on the title being played as to who comes out on top between these two cards, even with that difference in VRAM. In the titles that we just tested, the XT does come out slightly better, but in our full review over on Vortez.net with other games being played, the 5060 seems to pull ahead. Those benchmarks that we ran, of course, were at 1080 with the maximum detail preset in each title. Now the 5060 here comes with just 8 gig of VRAM, which in some titles and in today's climate with demand for ray tracing and other features, it can present us with some challenges and some issues. Here in The Witcher 3 we enabled ray tracing with the ultra settings. As you can see, the performance figures are impacted quite significantly. You're basically getting half the frame rate, getting it sliced in half. And so 8 gig is really not enough in some titles if you do want to indulge in some ray tracing. Aesthetically, Prime is a good looking card, it's lightweight, and it has an excellent thermal solution. Again, the pricing on this card here is $340 in the UK, $300 in the US, and then $650 in Australia. So what do you guys think of this card here that we've been taking a look at today? Are you in the market for a 5060, or are you more inclined to go AMD route with that XT there, or even a previous generation of card? Let me know in the comments box below. Thanks for watching today, guys. It's been great to come back to the channel and to bring you this content. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.